Hello, and welcome to Sophia's Roulette. Tonight's guest is Dr. Tamanna Khosla, professor and author of China, Russia, India, Rise of Euro-Asian Civilization, as well as the Feminist Manifesto. And she is just the most amazing human being I've ever met. Honestly, I'm so excited for this. And she will be discussing the ethics of punishment this evening. So, Tamanna, would you like to give a brief introduction of yourself and take her away?
Okay. Today I'm going to be speaking on the ethics of punishment. It's a very important topic, actually, because we have crime everywhere. So how to resolve it in this century? It's a major problem right now. And being an author myself, I'm really concerned about these issues. So today, Cynthia gave me a chance to speak on this particular issue. So I'm like really wanting to interact with all of you on this, and your opinions on this would matter a lot. So we all can together build a situation where crime is less and uh, forgiveness is more. So that is a basic thing. So can I start now?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So, in my present lecture, I'm going to talk about four methods by which punishment is looked at. So, one is the utilitarian method of Bentham. Second is retributive method. Third is restorative method. And fourth is the moralistic method, which I have myself devised it, but it is everywhere. So let me focus on these three, and then I'll explain what moralistic method is. Yeah. So punishment involves a deliberate infliction of suffering or supposed or actual offender for an offense such as moral or legal transgression. Since punishment involves inflicting a pain or deprivation similar to which the preparation of a crime inflicts on his victim, it has generally been agreed that punishment requires moral as well as legal and political justification. So, when you punish a victim, well, sorry, the person who has inflicted the crime, you need justification for it. For example, when there are cases of rape, etc., you know, and they go on for I just don't know what about in US, but in India they go for centuries, like decades, and people are not punished for that. So that is what the judges, what they look at is moral and legal justification for that. So this is what the current legal system is based on. So for example, if it's a child, it's a rarest of rarest crime, when a 4-year-old is raped, gang raped, for example. So it becomes rarest of rare crimes. So, or for example, there was a case in India where a woman was chopped into pieces, and she was put into a gas cylinder. So that was rarest of rare crimes. So yeah, while philosophers almost all agree that punishment is at least sometimes justifiable, they offer various accounts of how it is justified, as well as what the infliction of punishment is designed to protect. So I'm going to look at first utilitarian uh, approach to punishment. So what is the utilitarian justification? Utilitarianism is a moral theory that holds that rightness or wrongness of an action is determined by the balance of good over evil that is produced by that action. Philosophers have argued over exactly how the resulting good and evil may be identified and to whom the greatest good should belong. Jeremy Bentham identified good with pleasure and evil with pain and held that the greatest pleasure should belong to the greatest number of people. J.S. Mill, perhaps the most notable utilitarian, identified good with happiness and evil with unhappiness, and also held that greatest happiness should belong to the greatest number. This is how utilitarianism is most discussed in literature. So, when attempting to determine what punishment is justifiable, utilitarians will attempt to anticipate the likely consequence of carrying out the punishment. So is it going to bring the happiness to the maximum number of people, or is it going to bring the problem? Is it not going to do that in that particular fashion? Like the masses would not be convinced about it. If punishing an offender would most likely produce the greatest balance of happiness over unhappiness compared with the available options, then the punishment is justified. If another available option would produce a greater balance of happiness over unhappiness, then that punishment would be uh, uh, plausible. So clearly, crime tends to produce unhappiness. So in seeking to promote a state of affairs in which the balance of happiness over unhappiness is maximized, a utilitarian will be concerned with reducing crime. First, the threat of punishment can deter potential offender. If an individual is tempted to commit a certain crime, but he knows that it is against the law and a punishment is attached to a conviction for breaking that law, then generally speaking, that potential offender will be less likely to commit the crime. Right? And second, punishment can incapacitate offenders. So yeah. Bentham states that the greater the mischief of the offense, the greater is the expense which it may be worth while to be at in the way of punishment. Crime and punishment both tend to cause unhappiness. So, since it causes unhappiness, we are supposed to deal with it accordingly, right? And yeah. So now the second one which I'm going to talk about is retributive. Regarding retributive theory, CL10 states that there is no complete agreement about what sorts of theories are retributive, except all such theories try to establish an essential link between punishment and moral wrongdoing. He's surely right about this, so therefore it is difficult to give a general account of retributive justification. However, it is possible to state certain features that characterize retributive theories generally. So, for example, Kant invokes what he refers to as a principle of equality in his discussion of punishment. If this principle is obeyed, then the pointer of scale of justice is made to incline no more to the one side than the other. If a wrongful act is committed, then the person who has committed it has upset the balance of scale of justice. So yeah. So things like capital punishment, etc., would weigh on this parameter according to these two theories. Now, restorative justice. Restorative justice is an approach to justice where one of the response to a crime is to organize a meeting between the victim and the offender, sometimes with representatives of the wider community. The goal is for them to share their experience of what happened, to discuss who are harmed by the crime and how, and to create a consensus for what the offender can do to repair the harm for the offense. This may include a payment of money given from the offender to the victim, apologies, and other amends, and other actions to compensate those affected and to prevent the offender from causing future harm. A restorative justice program aims to get offenders to take responsibility for their actions, to understand the harm they have caused, to give them an opportunity to redeem themselves, and to discourage them from causing further harm. So this is, for example, the TRC, which was established in South Africa, was based on this particular principle, where this is most probably likely in places where riots have broken. For example, in India, we have been talking about Gujarat and the Sikh riots. When, for example, in Africa, whites and blacks, they got together and apologies were shared and etc. And so TRC, Truth Reconciliation Commission, is something which is based on restorative justice principle. So yeah, yeah. It is a process where all stakeholders affected by injustice have an opportunity to discuss how they have been affected by the injustice, and to decide what should be done to repair the harm. With crime, restorative justice is about the idea that because crime hurts, justice should heal. It follows that conversations with those who have been hurt and with those who have inflicted this harm must be central to the process. So now, what is the moral theory which I would talk about? Now, moral theory is something which most religions have spoken about. And what is it all about? It's about forgiveness. For example, Jesus, he says, even on the he said that, like, forgiveness, don't for please, for Lord, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing, you know. And as far as India is concerned, like, because in the religion it said that, and it said that, you see God in everybody, or for Buddhism it's seen that, um, it's your karma, it's your past karma that you're suffering this particular issue. So forgive this person and move forward. So I guess the fact is that, these things, I guess we need to, what we need to do is mix restorative justice with the spiritual approach. And, you must have seen that, I don't know Cynthia, what about it is in um, US. But in India, we have in prisons, we have those sermons which many of these saints come and take. I don't know. Is it true? Is it also there in US?
I'm sorry, can you ask me that question again, please?
I'm saying in India, in prisons, we have our spiritual gurus coming and giving them sermons to improvise their lives, etc. So is it also there in US?
Well, I do know that a lot of people who are incarcerated do become spiritual while they're.
But nobody comes to give a sermon. Is it so?
Well, I think like priests and stuff like that go, but not gurus or spiritual
in
leaders or
our
anything
in
like
our
that.
community, for example, we have lots and lots of spiritual gurus who come and they give them and I knew personally some people who improved so much by that, and they connected even after the sentence was over. They kind of continued with the sermons of the guru, and they improved by hell lot. They really improved themselves and they became good human beings. Like, somebody who works at my place, her husband was acquitted in he was like after acquitted, he was in jail for at least like 3-4 years, and it was because of, I guess, child molestation or something. But now he's changed so much, and he's into the same guru for like past 20 years now. So like he's like amazingly improved. So seeing these kind of incidences, you feel that spiritual knowledge can help people overcome their own weaknesses. And I guess that's the whole thing. And like and talking between for example, there are punishment for rarest of rare cases, where you have terrorist acts, where people have been killed, or rape cases, where children have been molested and rape, gang rape, for example, and they have been killed. Some of these cases are extremely important to address. You can't say that you have to, the state has to come in to address these issues. So but the fact is that the talk between victim and the offender would definitely do much better, because the person probably doesn't know the pain which the other person is going through. So now when he himself or she herself gains the pain, she will understand that this is what is happening to us, and what I did was really wrong to her. So ultimately, when as far as the spiritual knowledge would be is concerned, when we are on this earth, for a limited time, we all know that. So the minute we are here for a limited time, we need to understand that cause we are not doing any good for the world right now. So people need to have purpose in their life. So purpose demands that, we have to have aims in our lives. People who, the charges of felony, for example, these charges are the ones which have to be addressed extremely carefully, because they are extreme crimes, and they should not be forgiven like that. So as far as Dwarka, Andrea Dworkin is concerned, or Catherine McKinnon is concerned, they're absolutely anti-porn. So why? Because according to them, these kind of things attenuate violence against women. They attenuate rape, these kind of things. So I mean, I agree with them on this particular issue. So yeah, so I'll stop here.
You're finished speaking?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much, Tamanna. Mitch, would you like to ask your question? You're muted, sweetie.
I didn't actually have a direct question. I was just going to address the religious leaders and religious guidance within prison, which yeah, those are there with issues of religious freedom. Whoever you consider to be your spiritual leader is allowed to visit you in that context.
Well, thank you very much. That was a fantastic talk. Tamanna, did you want to respond, or?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. I'm sorry.
Well, he wasn't asking a question. He was just adding on to what you said about, when you asked about the spiritual leaders and stuff. Apparently in prison, they can get you a spiritual leader for whatever you believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Which amazes me, quite honestly. But that
Yeah.
was an amazing talk. Thank you so much. I was very interested about the utilitarianism that you were talking about, because
Yeah.
of course it's the most happiness for the greatest good, but I find in situations like these that a lot of it is fear driven, and just because you might see it as the greatest good in that moment, perhaps not, because people are very safety driven, and oh my goodness, what of the children kind of thing. So they're more likely to lock somebody away than they are to not lock somebody away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you think that could potentially turn bad, or?
Yeah, I guess, like that the rightness or wrongness of an action is determined by what is good or evil. So whatever is like good, is something which is it would not be considered to be crime, while whatever is evil is considered to be crime. So that these kind of principles are also given, after all, these all philosophies are way of life. Be it religious, spiritual philosophies, be it Hinduism, Buddhism, etc. Some of them are deep philosophies, and like obviously, the philosophies which are made by the world right now. For example, Plato, etc. Plato was a deep philosopher, for example. That's not an issue. But many of them later on, after Enlightenment, the theories which came about, they could not cover so much. As far as Marxism is another issue, another theory which is like looking at economics, etc. And life beyond God, for example. So so it's like good is with happiness and evil is with unhappiness. So whatever creates unhappiness in you is considered to be retrograde, and it should not be there in principle. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Tamanna. I'm sorry for that. I'll edit that little break out. But thank you so much for coming. And there was something else I was going to ask you. Dang it. Okay, I did the happiness divine. On the restorative justice, because I did look into that a bit. you know, and ideally that would be the way to go, you know, but then I thought, well, probably not for violent crime, but they're even using it for violent crime now. Is that true where you are as well?
Yeah, I guess you're right, because, like, your principle and your attraction to restorative justice is not wrong, because, many of the harsh problems in the world, can be reduced by softness of heart. For example, we have the Ukraine and Russian war, for example, going on. So the what do you say? The Chinese premier has been called to negotiate between the two, Russia and Ukraine. So it's like people can change your heart. So till the time, like, these things do not happen, people need to talk about, for example, this war, and people, both the sides are like hardened, so till the time people don't talk across the differences, and resolve, make, because I guess here what is happening is, um, camps are being made, so talk across the differences is not happening in this particular issue. So and so, I mean, I really want that, something of that sort should come, that, where people are able to talk across differences and able to bring about changes here and now. So here and now, and deliberation needs to take place. And people, for example, US, what US is doing is, like, in US and China, the tension between the two, Russia, China is, US is doing is, like, it's spreading NATO wings till the Pacific, East Pacific, while China is also spreading itself into Africa and Middle East, for example, West Asia, for example, for us. So like, so everybody is kind of cautious about each other, like, everybody is like, thinking that, this person is going to attack me, or this person is going to attack me. So till the time, we do not have people to people talk, and suspicion against each other, so you can't, for example, countries, we can't punish countries, like, that is the whole thing, how, what, that is the ethics here. For example, the Israeli government, having, attacking Lebanon, for example, or Italian, Israeli government, on Gaza. So how do you, for example, like, and Palestine has its own history. So nobody can do anything. It's like, like, basically restorative justice is something which is extremely important here, and it's going to work out majorly well if we kind of have talks across differences, and leaders get along. So leaders have to talk. It's not the secretaries who have to talk, it's the leaders. They should have hot mail talks, across the differences. So till the time, if they don't talk, there will be no justice. So I guess that's the whole thing.
Oh, I agree with that completely, and I agree with you as well. You know, it has to be top down, but I also see sort of a surge coming from the bottom up. So
Yeah,
hopefully that'll work out for us as
yeah,
well.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I love you so much, Tamanna. I'm so grateful that you were able to do this today. And again, Tamanna is a professor and author of China, Russia, India, Rise of the Euro-Asian Civilization, as well as the Feminist Manifesto, which is coming out in June. And I'm super excited to read that. So thank you so very much, Tamanna. I am very grateful to you. I love you so much.
Same here.
And